Happy New Year from the Good Ship Illustration. We are hopefully arriving in your ear holes at the start of the year. But if it's later in the year, just ignore that. We're going to talk about goals, planning, setting intentions, and I think that's applicable all year round. But it's really exciting to do it in January as well.
Yeah, we're going to have a planning party, aren't we? 16th of January, is that right? 16th of January at 1:30. If you're on our mailing list, you'll get the invite to the Zoom call.
Yeah. It's 1:30 UK time, so I think that's early in the morning if you're in America, middle of the night, early in Anyway, you'll figure it out. You can do time zones. You're clever. We trust you.
Where are we with that goal planning idea this year?
Yeah,
is it a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a mixture, isn't it? I think you've got to know what works for your brain, because I've kind of swiveled between the two, between being like, I set loads of goals and I'm going to smash all the goals, to being like, don't make me set any goals. I've got a small baby. I can't even hoover the house. Like, so that was me maybe for the past few years. But this year I feel more goaly. I don't know how you...
Do you?
I feel more goaly, but I think it's still in a loose way. Like,
yeah. I don't know whether I do. Maybe loose goals with no urgency about them would be good. But for years, I was really pro goals. I would always have a list of books that I would always know in advance what books I had to illustrate over the next year. And so they'd be in my plan, but then there would be, what I want to do personally, I would really set goals, sort out my website, all that kind of stuff. But I think a couple of years ago when I made the picture book course and was still doing the same amount of picture books as I'd ever done, it felt like I ran a marathon at full speed, like it was a sprint. And so it was brilliant. It was just the most amazing year, but so exhausting. And so last year when we had our planning party, I was very anti-planning. I was like, no plans except for jigsaws.
and saying no.
I will not be making any plans. My biggest plan is no.
Which was in itself a plan. And you've stuck to it that valiantly.
I stuck to it. I've really, really stuck to it. I've had a very, very nice time just taking things more slowly, and it's been brilliant. And I'm not sure I'll ever go back to super Helen sprinting through a career again.
Yeah, suffering endless migraines of being super active. And I mean, you really, really worked so hard that year.
Yeah.
And then
I've just been walking for the last year, and I've really enjoyed that walking. I don't think I'm ready for goals again. I'd set some intentions of things that will make me happy in the year ahead. That would be nice.
But you're still working, aren't you?
Still working, but I'm working like a normal person.
Yeah, exactly. It's just finding that balance, isn't it? I don't think you can't go hard year after year, and maybe having the goal of not doing anything is a fabulous goal. Obviously, you've got to do something, and you need to bring the money in and find a way to go a bit slower. But I was always anti-goals, just in that stupid, like, I'm not having a goal, I don't like them. But this year I feel really goal-orientated. I can't wait for the planning party, but I'll probably be completely off kilter as everyone goes, let's just not plan this year. I'll be like, but I've got some plans. I've really got some real ones this time. But
I like that thing. So like setting intentions, it's a nice feeling. It's always like a framework, isn't it? Because I've loved it in the past when I've drawn a picture and included visual reminders of all the things that I kind of want to aim for and ways I want to feel and how I want to approach the year. Because then to look back on it is really exciting. Because you can see, I did that. Oh, that's true.
Have you still got your piece of paper that we made at the planning party up on your wall? I've still got mine. It's stuck to a box of pencils and it's still there. And every now and again I have a look at it. I've managed quite well with it. Yeah. Most of the things I've done, some of them just look like random... sproutings of an idiot. What did I write that for? But some of them are good.
Yeah. I love the planning party because it makes it doable and makes it human-sized instead of that go get them, which is kind of too much and overwhelming. And you can't control everything, but as long as you get some of your own goals in there, and at the end of the year you can say I did at least 3 or 4 of them. That's a win. Having being able to exercise some choice is a real privilege. I feel aware when you kind of talking about goals, some people are like, I've just got to go to work every day and do the same thing.
I saw a brilliant thing this week, and it was like a prompt. So the prompt was, I know I'm being successful when ... And I was like, oh, that's exciting. Because then the things were like, I wake up and I can say, what do I feel like doing today? Yeah. Or I don't have to travel for work. or I only travel for fun, like little things. And it was just like that mindset, like just thinking of it from that perspective was really interesting.
Yeah, that's a good way to start the goal planning.
I really like goal setting in that way. Like, I think just before lockdown, I had the goal of, one of my goals was to see as many of my old friends as possible that year, to make the effort and go and travel and see them. And in that year, I saw loads of people that I hadn't seen for sort of 10 years or more.
Wow.
And that was amazing. So they don't all have to be work goals.
Yeah. That's my 60th birthday plan, is
I
to
can't
go and
wait.
spend lots of time with friends. Because no point having a giant party. Well, you can have a giant party, but if you get everyone to come from all over the world and then you just stand there dancing to all your favourite songs, which is what I would do, and not talking
I
to
thought
them.
that was the plan. Is that not the plan?
Well, it kind of is the plan, but that's a local party.
I'm disappointed
Just us.
now. I wanted to meet everybody you'd ever met.
Yeah, me too.
It was such a good party.
That would be
Tanya.
a huge party.
No, you're coming with me to go and meet all my friends. And just every weekend spend a nice time with all the best people that you've known in your life, rather than squidge it into a party and then think, I did a really bad job of that as a host.
That's true, because you don't get to talk to each person individually. Yeah, it's
like a
nice
wedding.
to visit them all.
Bit stressful, like when you
Yes.
get married and you don't see anyone because you're too busy getting married.
I have a dream for the. Yeah, I've just took in what you said. Sorry.
No, that's
I was looking at you while you were speaking, but I was thinking about something else. Sorry, Katie.
That's good. I think I know what your dream is. Tell us. Is it-
Do
is
you?
it- Is it the caravan dream?
Sort of, yes.
Or maybe it's not. Tell me.
I think the good shape, we should hire some sort of van and we should drive around meeting some illustrators.
Yeah, let's go and meet
Wouldn't that be
all-
brilliant?
That would be so
A
good.
camper
I'd
van.
love that.
And
Can we
we'll
have one of
call
those
it-
VW vans each? Because I keep entering all
The electric ones.
competitions.
Yeah.
Off-grid VW vans, just in case
Let's
VW's
do
listening.
that.
I want one of them.
Imagine.
Please
We
make us
could-
flags, Helen, because we could have
Oh, each
a
van
big
will have a
60th
on.
flag for Tanya, and I have that streaming on top of the camper van.
Yeah.
And then maybe I was could have like the good ship illustration.
Oh, imagine. Driving right down the motorway in convoy with the good ship illustration.
Good
flags.
ship on tour. It'd be a bit like Spinal Tap.
Can we go to Cornwall?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can visit some of the exciting illustration does a Hartlepool College of Art has an illustration festival?
does
Yeah,
it?
we could go with that.
What other ones are there? Scooby have their big illustrations. I was going to say symposium. Conference. I don't know.
We could
One
go-
day we will do it.
Katie looks like she's going to yawn now. I think that bit wasn't a good idea.
Should we do some questions before we start rambling? Into...
Oh, we have got some questions.
We have, haven't we?
yeah.
We're going to do
Okay.
quick fire questions now.
Yes.
So if the answer to your well thought out question seems a bit fast, please forgive us because we want to answer lots of them and keep it simple. Any tips on how to combine backgrounds with picture book characters?
Ooh.
Helen, your starter for today.
Yeah,
It's a
that's
biggie.
so hard. But do you know, the main thing I think is that often people think they imagine backgrounds, picture books, scary because I've got to draw everything. I've got to draw really good, be able to draw really good, really complicated backgrounds. And I don't think that's the case. There are so many picture books with barely any backgrounds. If you imagine Maisie the mouse, they are just mostly plain bright coloured backgrounds. Might be like a very graphic image of a staircase or a potty or something. Lots of picture books like that. Or you can go full on and do a Brian Wildsmith gorgeous field of flowers background. But I think if those complicated backgrounds that jump into your head when people say backgrounds is what you imagine, you really don't need to do that. Go to a bookshop, look at all the different backgrounds on there. And don't set yourself too big a task, too far away from what you do naturally.
It's good advice. Just edit it down, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it's like that. You always say, Tanya, about when you're drawing from life, squint, because then you really edit out anything you don't really need. You get proportions nice. Same with backgrounds. If you think, well, what's essential to the story? So in this bit of the story, I don't know, maybe we're talking about potty training or something. Maybe you only need a potty and the edge of the bath with a duck or a bath toy. It's no
shows
more
where you
complicated
are.
than that. Yeah, you could draw some lines on the wall that indicate tiles. It's much easier
Because you can
than
suffocate your character, can't you? If your background is too full on, the aim of the idea behind the image is drowned and the character is drowned with too much going on. There's no sort of physical space and distance between the background and the person.
yeah.
Too much will just...
I think there's some really nice, easy tricks for solving those things as well. When I was trying to tackle this, like if a publisher would ask me for something quite complicated that involved a quite complicated background and it was necessary for the story, I used to really struggle with it. And then I got absolutely obsessed with Jean-Jacques Sompe, the French illustrator, who did lots of New York, the New Yorker covers. And he works in watercolor with a dip pen, which is similar to the way I work. So I think that's why I got so obsessed with him. And if he had a really complicated background, like there's one really famous one of a bicycle shop, and there's either a little boy or a man with a bicycle in the middle of a bicycle shop, and there's rows and rows and rows of bicycles on the walls stacked above each other. So it's really, really complicated. What he does really cleverly is all of the line drawings, all the complicated line drawings of bicycles are all around the side, and then there's a bit of a gap around the main character with no colour in it, no line in it, gap, like breathing space.
Yeah.
And then the way he wants you to look, where your eye is being drawn, is this nice little drawing of the boy or the man with his bicycle in the middle, and you know where to look. And that enables you to be really fussy and complicated with the rest of the drawing. But as long as your eye knows where to go, you can be really clever with that.
Well, you can also choose line, can't you? Like soft
Yeah.
line or light line.
Yeah, I
if it's
try and hold
complicated.
my pen lighter if I'm doing a background. So I hold the dip pen looser in my fingers so that it's a looser line and it's not as thick. It's a good
just
trick.
like the volume turned down on the background and the volume turned up on the subject. So like you say, it's where you're teaching the eye where to look and creating physical space between the subject and the background.
There's a lot more about this in the course.
Yeah. Picture book
But
course.
yeah.
Talk
There you go.
It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
That was
It's
a quick
huge
fire
thing.
version.
Yeah,
Can
exactly.
you do a whole piece about background alone?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's next, Tanya?
Tips on how to approach a prospective agent.
Do it.
Yeah, that's it. Just do it. Yeah.
And also, don't CC them. Don't put other people in the email.
Who would people put in? What do you mean?
Well, lots of people will go through a list of agents and put dear sir. Some people put the seat.
Oh, they put lots of agents. They CC in a whole load of agents in one email.
Worst, yeah.
Whoa.
That the agent will be in that email. Then sometimes they just write a blank one and just change the name on the dear, but no reference to the actual agency.
You've got to think
And
like
work.
the agent. Like, what would you like to receive? Would you like to receive a copy-paste generic inquiry? Or would you like to receive one where they've actually researched who the agent, who you are as an agent, why they really want to work with you specifically, why they think you'd be the best agent for them?
They say, look for an agency that looks like your kind of people, visually, work-wise, but make sure they haven't got one of you. They need to be missing you so that you can offer something that you do specifically, like whatever, food and drink you do really well, or portraits or maps or whatever. So look for someone who's got your vibe, but they don't have one of you.
And they don't need you to describe your work because they're visual people. So you send some samples. They can look at your samples and understand what your work is. You don't need to write a letter that says, my work has a romantic, ethereal quality. You don't need to write any of that.
No.
That was just wasted words.
Agents have said they're just like one paragraph. I'm based XYZ. This is where I live. This is my work. Oh, and also check what their submission guidelines are, because nearly every agency has a totally different submission guideline. So don't just bung a load of JPEGs.
Also, I completely ignored all the submission guidelines completely when I was looking for a publisher. I got the Writers and Artists Yearbook where it said no submissions. I'd be like, right, I'll send them something.
As soon as Tanya said that, I was
do
waiting
it.
for Helen.
Also, don't do it.
Rebel Helen.
Tanya says, read the rules. Helen says, don't.
How did they know whether they wanted to see my work? If they just write in the book, we don't want to see it, they might love it. So I just sent it.
Oh, I think that's
I'm not
such a good-
saying that it worked.
I mean, it must have done. You're published.
I don't remember whether I ended up being published by any of those people, but I just ignored that.
They were probably like, I wish I hadn't put that in the Artist Writers Yearbook, because I'm not getting any letters from anyone now.
They
And
might
then when you
forget
turned up,
that it says that.
Yeah. It's true.
next question. Is it safe to post illustrations on Instagram where AI has access to them?
Oh dear. Well, there's that thing where you can apparently go on and tell Meta not to harvest your stuff for AI. But
you can
then
go
we
in
had
your
people,
settings, but does it work?
Yeah, we had people in different countries saying it's not available. I remember Australian people messaging me saying, "Oh, it doesn't work for me." And then obviously there's the whole trust thing. Like, does that really work? I don't know.
You can. Well, there's going to be some opt-out in. If you go onto the site haveibeentrained.com, sign up with them. which if you fancy it and your nerves can take it, you can actually see if the AI bots have been trained on your website.
Really?
A few years back, yeah.
Wow.
And literally, to warn you, most people who've got websites will have a version of their work that's been AI trained, but that's normal. They might have had a couple of cracks at trying to be you and then given up and thought, I can't do it. But
Wow.
now the people who, I think it's called spawning, so the people who set up haveibeentrained.com, they are developing a software which will apparently stop the AI bots being trained on you. But kind of, if you don't show your work, you'll never be an illustrator. So there's catch-22.
Yeah, it's like looking at the pros and cons, isn't it? Because even sharing your work, AI aside, a human can copy your ideas. But then
Exactly.
it's, if you don't share your ideas, you're not sharing your ideas. So you're just going to make yourself tiny and invisible just in case somebody steals your stuff. I know it's a imperfect answer, but I would say it's just post your
It's
work.
the same when people worry about sending publishers samples of their work. They worry that if they send the samples or the picture book idea, the publisher will go, oh, great idea, we'll get somebody else to do it. It's so unlikely. And if you don't send them it, how are you ever going to get in there in the first place? You've got to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
You just have to.
I'd love to hear your tips on client management to preempt overrun. Ooh, that'd be a nice situation to be in, wouldn't it?
It's tricky. Yeah, I think looking in advance and being really honest with yourself about how much time you do have and almost time blocking it into your calendar, and also overestimating how long it's going to take for each client.
Yeah, 'cause things go wrong.
And imagining you've got less time than you do, because you don't want to be working back to back. You want time off as well scheduled in
Wide margins.
Yeah,
That's what you
wide
need.
margins.
I think we did go into depth on this on a previous podcast. So I think we did a whole podcast about it.
Yeah, I think we might have done. And it's definitely in the business course.
Yeah. And this was, the podcast was about 3 or 4 months ago. So if you have a quick route through the podcast bag, you'll find it.
Should we do one more question? Oh, there's so many. What should we read?
You liked how to deal with the overwhelming choice of things to draw and work on.
Oh, yeah, I do like that because I do find I have so many ideas that I know that if I try and implement all of them, I will go insane and I've got to work more slowly and calm down. So, yeah, I like the idea of making a list, like the list of things that you've got excited about and you'd like to start on. And then, yeah, just, pick the idea that seems the most exciting and only work on that and put the others aside. Once they're written on a piece of paper, they don't keep popping into your brain all the time and annoying you and dragging you off in another direction. Stick it on your wall for a while you concentrate on one thing.
Like Katie's car park.
Yeah,
ideas.
Katie's car park idea. Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Have a car park your ideas, and then they can relax because they're not being ignored. Maybe it's like ghosts, when people exercise a house. And they're like, we hear you, you can go away now, and the ghost goes away.
Yeah, that's it.
Idea ghosts.
It's hard. She's saying how to choose what to draw. I'm just thinking about maybe if you think too hard about what to draw, you end up drawing nothing. Yeah. So just get out with your get a sketchbook out and draw literally what is in front of you, even if it looks unappealing, because once you've done a few drawings and you've got your drawing eyes on, you've got your drawing hat on and you're into it, all of a sudden, whatever is in front of you, it just looks gorgeous when you draw it. You just need to make that start, even if the first few drawings are rubbish, even if you're drawing a subject you don't want to draw, just start somewhere.
Yeah, and don't avoid, you would probably disagree, Helen, do all the stuff you really like, and then later on, if you're stuck with the same subject, and you're avoiding everything else, go and do the things you're avoiding as well. Because you might just be singing the same song over and over again.
Oh, that's so true. That's so true.
Give yourself some challenges.
Yeah.
That can be really helpful when you're starting out, like Inktober prompts and things. It's a double-edged sword. Sometimes those prompts are so stressful because you've got to do one every day. But if you're starting out and you've got lots of time and you're really excited and motivated and you're just like, what should I draw? It's like somebody tells you what to draw every day.
Yeah, and it stops that 20-minute faffing around as you wander around the house. Put your coat on and think, should I go out? No, I won't. It's a bit cold. I'll sit back in. Open a cupboard, close a cupboard.
One of my favourite drawing times was when I was travelling with my sketchbook and just drawing where I was, because I felt it feels like mindfulness almost, because you're sitting really looking at where you are, really drawing it. And then when you look back on your drawings, you can remember the smells and the temperature it was. And
it's way better than photos for that.
Oh, it is.
We just went to Iceland and I took sketchbook with me and was thinking, I'll go out drawing. I'll draw in Reykjavik. I'll draw down at the harbour where the ships are and everything. But when I got there, all I felt like doing is drawing in the warmth of the hotel. And so I just did drawings of like around the hotel and my daughter sat looking at her phone, and when we went for meals at the table and did really domestic, low-level stuff, nothing to do with the bigger city we were in. But actually it felt more like a diary, and I really enjoyed doing that.
Yeah.
So I took the pressure off myself. Even though I do like sitting in the cold to draw and drawing in the rain, I just decided I wasn't up for it and just drew all the nice indoors warm stuff.
That's serious cold. That would have taken you way
You
beyond.
could barely breathe when you got down to the harbour. It was so cold, it was painful to breathe in.
Thank you for all your questions. If you've got more questions as well, we've got a thing on if you go on the Good Ship Illustration /podcast, there's a big button and you can submit your questions there.
I'd forgotten that. That's so brilliant. Oh, we're going to harvest so many good questions.
Yeah, get them
Can't
in.
wait to hear them.
Lovely.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.